All right. What was your life like before coming here?
Well, my life was pretty good until I was injured.
Oh.
My story is about an injury that happened to me at work.
Oh, really?
And that's where my life changed.
Okay, so where do you work? What do you do?
I work on commercial doors, and I hit my head.
Really?
I hit my head going up a ladder, and immediately that night I started to experience vertigo.
Oh,
Extreme vertigo where I was so sick where I couldn't walk, I couldn't drive.
Oh my
I
gosh.
was throwing up. And I ended up in the hospital. They admitted me to the North Suburban Hospital.
Uh-huh. What did they do there?
They did a bunch of x-rays to see if I had a concussion. They did CT scans. They just started pumping me full of anti-dizziness drugs and everything else that kept me.
And what did they find?
Well, originally the emergency room doctor thought that it was a inflamed nerve in my neck due to the injury. So he told me to go see my family doctor so I could get a referral to a neurologist. So I went to my family doctor and he said that it wasn't a nerve issue, that it was an inner ear issue. So he sent me to an ear, nose, and throat doctor. So I went to 2 ear, nose, and throat doctors and then ended up going to a ear, nose, and throat specialist. And they did tests. This went on for 5 months.
And you were living through all these symptoms during this time.
Yep.
Oh my gosh! How did you deal with that? Did you sleep?
No, I couldn't sleep. At one point, I didn't sleep for about 3 weeks.
How?
So they put me on Ambien, which is the worst drug you could ever be put on. I mean, it made me
hallucinate and stuff, or what?
I was always out of it. I didn't want to go to work every day. I'd get up at 10 o'clock and I'd go home at 2 and go back to sleep.
Wow.
Some days I didn't even go to work. My company wouldn't let me drive a company vehicle because it was a liability. They wouldn't let me climb ladders because it was a liability. So, my life...
Were you afraid you were going to lose your job or anything?
I was afraid I was going to lose my job. You know, I ride a motorcycle, so I couldn't ride my motorcycle anymore.
Oh, man.
I couldn't play with my kids. I couldn't go outside. I couldn't go swimming. I couldn't run. I couldn't...
This was for 6 months?
About 5.5 months, because it happened in August.
Wow, and then what... how did you hear about us?
I went to a doctor who started doing MRIs, and he told me he was 80% sure that I had a brain tumor on my balance nerve on my right inner ear.
Wow.
So he started to do MRIs to find the tumor so he could cut in to my skull, remove the tumor. And there was a lot of risks involved with the brain surgery that he started to tell me about. Well, the MRI results came back and there was no tumor. So he assumed that it was just so small they couldn't see it on the MRI. So I got fed up, and a friend of mine at work had told me about Maximize Living, and I also had listened to a radio show.
Cool.
And so I came in here in January of this year, the end of January. And my first adjustment was in February, the beginning of February. Immediately I just felt weird after the first adjustment. Well, let me start here. Dr. Joe took x-rays, and the first thing that he saw was I had 2 vertebrae in my neck that were pushed over.
Literally pushed over.
Pushed over, pinching my spinal cord and pulling on my brainstem.
Oh my gosh.
And he figured that that's where the blockage was coming from to my inner ear, causing the vertigo, the ringing in my ears, the dizziness, the headaches, everything.
Yeah. So
the first adjustment, you know, he took it easy and started to move things. The second adjustment the vertigo went away.
Like instantly? Did you know, like right away? You were like...
I knew the vertigo was gone. I mean, I could look up in the sky without spinning. Before for 5.5 months, I'd look up in the sky at an airplane or whatever, and immediately everything would just start spinning and I would fall over. I couldn't walk, couldn't stand up.
Wow.
So as soon as that second adjustment, it just freed everything up. So now we had to concentrate on that nerve healing. So it took a little while before the actual dizziness went away.
Yeah.
But the vertigo was gone. It's a little bit different. The dizziness is just kind of, you know, you're uneasy, but the vertigo is where everything is actually spinning.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So what is your life like now? Like,
it's back to the way it was, except better now because I haven't had any back pain. So
and you used to
not
have
just the vertigo issue he's fixed for me, but he's fixed my lower back pain. I haven't had any pain in my legs or my knees like I used to. I used to wake up in the morning and my legs would be numb.
Stiff. Wow.
Stiff and sore. I haven't taken one drug, not an aspirin, not a Tylenol, not
No
an Advil.
way.
I haven't had one
That
headache.
is so great.
And I used to have frequent headaches. Caught up in the medical industry like I did from August all the way through till January. I mean, I spent so much money. I spent thousands of dollars.
Really?
In medical bills. I just paid off my last medical bill about a month ago.
Congrats.
I'm done.
You're like, I'm done with you.
Yeah, it was North Suburban because the hospital stay was like $5,500.
Wow.
And I kind of have a high deductible with my job, so I had to pay a lot of those bills. And now I haven't had to spend any money or anything, not prescription drugs or anything, not even aspirin.
That's cool.
So it feels real good.
Yeah, I bet. That's great. So it's worth it.
Yep, sure is.
And we exceeded your expectations here.
Yeah, and I tell Dr. Joe all the time, thank you, because I don't know where I was headed. I was going to sell my motorcycle. I was going to have to quit my job. I thought that I was going to...
And now you just paid for your battery, right? And
yeah, I just bought a battery for my motorcycle.
And you're like, I get to ride this.